So the New England Patriots, obviously coming off of a season where they nearly had the worst overall record until Joe Milton came around and saved them of the first overall pick, which maybe they didn't want him to do. Clearly, a big part of what they wanted to do was help out Drake Maye, the young quarterback who showed a lot of flashes in year one. They spent the number 3 overall pick on him, but I think they want more consistency out of not just him, but the team as a whole, because he had to do a lot last year. It wasn't a great situation. So I figured today's video, let's kind of break down the Patriots roster, where it's currently at. It just simply asks the question, did they do enough to help out Drake Maye? First, let's start off with their offensive line, which was the big issue last year. It was a rough offensive line, and they have done a lot. In fact, there could be 4 players who weren't there last year, or I should say weren't starting last year, who end up starting this year. First, let's go from left to right. Will Campbell, the rookie left tackle, they spent the 4th overall pick on him, and the criticism of him is he's not usually what you get with a 4th overall pick type of player. This was kind of considered a 3 blue chipper draft class, and they had the 4th overall pick. What are you going to do? But ultimately, he is someone who, if he's, not elite, should still be able to help out with the offensive line. Cole Strange, you see the number next to their name is where they ranked according to PFF grades. So he was the 25th ranked guard in 2023, which, hey, that's pretty good. You'll take that, right? Got made fun of when he got drafted in the first round, but hey, you'll take a solid guard with a late first round pick if that's what it ends up being. You hope for more than that, but you'll take that. Of course, not being able to play last year, you hope that he can stay healthy. Garrett Bradbury, 27th rated center. Keep in mind, that's significantly worse than 25th rated guard because there's twice as many guards as there are centers. So 27th out of about 40. That's a low-end starter type of player. But again, sometimes for an offensive line, it's not necessarily about being elite across the board. It's about just having 5 solid players, and that could be what they have with Mike Onwenu at right guard and Morgan Moses at right tackle. Maybe you're not going to have elite play, but you should at least have play that can keep Drake Maye upright for more than 2.5 seconds on some plays to allow him to, make some things happen. So that's the first hope, is that you just have a decent offensive line. As for the wide receivers, this is definitely still an issue, and it's tough, right? They reportedly offered Chris Godwin $30 million a year, and he said, no, I'm going to play for significantly less, even counting the taxes, still significantly less in Tampa Bay, because that's just where he wanted to play. What are you going to do, right? Like, there wasn't a lot of great receivers on the market. They ended up going with Stephon Diggs, who PFF had him as the 21st graded player when he was healthy last year, and I don't disagree with that. Like, he was very effective. Let's not forget, he went for a 2nd round pick prior to that Texans trade, and, part of why it just didn't work out was just injuries last year. Granted, older player coming off of an injury, right? How much is his head still in the game? How much is he just, going wherever the dollar amount would go? But he should at least be an effective player and hopefully a good outside target for Drake Maye. As Drake Maye was really good on those deep shots last year, you hope that he can have a similar connection that Allen and Diggs had when they were in Buffalo. That's the dream if you're a Patriots fan. Then you have just a bunch of solid players who really, I think in an ideal situation, the only guy I would say is more than a good 4th option, or we've seen be more than a good 4th option. That's not true. There's a couple guys, I would say a lot of these guys actually we've seen be better than a 4th option for specific games, but consistently, Matt Collins for the Bills would occasionally have this great game and just wouldn't be able to do it consistently. Kendrick Bourne had that one year where he looked really good, has kind of just been okay since then. Demario Douglas is probably their 2nd best receiver, actually. He's kind of a really underrated piece because people just don't pay attention to Patriots receiving core. He is the one guy I would say is more than just a wide receiver 4, definitively. Now, again, I still think you like him as a wide receiver. Do you like him as a wide receiver 2? Maybe if he develops. We'll see, right? Because Jacoby Myers was a Patriots player who, when he was having to be wide receiver 1, it was I don't know if this guy is that great of a receiver. He might be a receiver 3. And then once he got put into a wide receiver 2 role with the Raiders, it's oh no, this guy's a great wide receiver 2. He just isn't a wide receiver 1. Maybe Douglas will have a similar thing with Diggs kind of letting him go down a slot. We'll see. You have Kayshon Boutte, that's a fun name. He showed flashes last year. And then Jalen Polk, who was PFF's lowest graded wide receiver last year, was a 2nd round pick. They hope that they just get more out of him, put him in a better situation, and we'll see. Maybe they can figure some stuff out. Does cut well, didn't do a ton else well for the Patriots. For tight ends, weirdly, PFF was like super high on Austin Hooper. I liked what I saw from Austin Hooper and Hunter Henry. I thought they were fine. And this might actually help the receiving core out a good chunk, having a couple of good receiving tight ends, which I think that the Patriots will like to use this year. So, again, well, if Diggs is the one option he can hit, and Douglas is an option, and Hooper is an option, and Henry's an option, and then, Matt Collins and Kayshon Boutte and Kendrick Bourne can all do their thing. Maybe you get something out of Jalen Polk. Maybe it's not necessarily like the Cincinnati's receiving core, but could it be like we've seen Kansas City have some good years where they just have a bunch of guys who can do different things and can run certain schemes well, even if it's maybe it's almost like the sum is greater than the what is it? The whole is greater than the sum of their parts, something like that. You know what I mean? I'm forgetting the expression, but that's the general idea. We'll see if that helps. And then finally, as for the running backs, Antonio Gibson and Ramondre Stevenson both have had good years. Ramondre Stevenson has had some very good years with the Patriots, not coming off his best season, but also again, offensive line, not very good. That obviously affects, that's going to affect you. It just is. You also have Antonio Gibson, who will turn 27 during the season next year, which is not old, but in running back years, he has been around for a bit now, entering his 6th year, which a lot of times people will tell you only get around 6 years, but should show something at the very least. And then Trayvon Henderson, who is another, rookie player who should be very good. They spent a bit of a premium pick on him for running backs, a early second round pick. That's they're expecting him to come in and be able to play well, and we'll see if he's able to do so. I do think he should be a good player for them. So yeah, they should have an effective running game. Receiving core shouldn't be horrible, although maybe you'd like a couple more options, and again, you are relying on Diggs to play well for this to fully work. And an offensive line that should be effective. I mean, let's just be honest. There aren't a lot of quarterbacks around the league that are envious of this situation, right? It's certainly a lot better than it was last year, and I think last year's Drake Maye would be envious of this year's Drake Maye situationally, but there definitely is some question marks. I think the Diggs thing is the big one. If he can come in and play well, then you feel great. I won't say great, but you feel a lot better about this. If he gets injured again, or if he just doesn't play well, it looks a lot worse. Now, there is one other aspect beyond just coaching, which kind of goes without saying, that I do think has gotten better with this Patriots team. It's defensively, this could actually be a really good defense. And if it's a good defense, what does that allow you to do? You can run the ball a lot more. You can then, not have to throw the ball down the field as much. You don't have to take as many chances, and it can help you out in that way. I think sometimes developmentally we don't think about defenses, but that can affect you. If you feel like you have to score touchdowns every possession to give your team a chance, you're going to learn some bad habits. And if you don't feel that, well, then you can learn the good habits. So that's another way that can help him, and I think is a benefit. So ultimately, have they done enough? Well, that remains to be seen. But did they do some things that should help out Drake Maye? I think so. It's not an A+ situation, but at least it's not the F situation that it was last year. So those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.